Right, it's 9:30 a.m. GMT from Ghana here. Good morning. My name is Doreen Apia. I'm a staff of AFLIA and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. You are all welcome to today's webinar. And with me here in the panel, we have Dr. Nkem Osigwe, who is the Director of Training and Human Capacity Building. We have Stanley Echampon, our Research Coordinator and Communications Officer. We have Michael Thompson, the Web Administrator or the IT Officer for AFLIA. And of course, we have our resource person. I will introduce him to you later, so I won't mention his name. He's going to be a surprise to all of us. Today is the International Literacy Day. And as librarians, we all know that literacy is very important. The theme for this year is transforming literacy learning spaces, which we all know that whether we like it or not, COVID has come to change things. And so it is important that we also change ourselves. According to UNESCO, the theme will be an opportunity to rethink about the fundamental importance of literacy learning spaces to build resilience and ensure quality, equitable and inclusive education for all. A little history about International Literacy Day. The idea was conceived in 1965 at the World Conference of Ministers of Education on the eradication of illiteracy held in Iran. A year later, that is in 1966, UNESCO took the lead and declared 8 September as International Literacy Day. The purpose is or was to remind the international community of the importance of literacy as a matter of dignity and human rights for individuals, communities, and societies, and the need to intensify efforts towards more literate society. ILD brings ownership to the challenges of illiteracy back home to local communities where literacy begins. Then in 1967, the global community accepted the challenge of ending illiteracy by participating in the first International Literacy Day. In line with the theme this year, AFLIA decided to organize this webinar with the theme Introduction to Wikisources, the free digital library, to help librarians, one, learn how Wikisource adds value to the work of library and information professionals, two, understand the crucial role Wikisource plays in raising the visibility, accessibility, and appreciation of out-of-copyright texts and their authors. Three, to understand the interconnection and relationship between Wikisource and other Wikimedia projects, example, Wikipedia and Wikicommons. And then to learn how librarians in Africa can take advantage of the free online library for effective delivery of service to patrons and communities. With us this morning to help us unveil this and to learn more about Wikisource is Satdeep Gill. He is a program officer of GLAM and Culture at the Wikimedia Foundation. Satdeep is a leading light for the Punjabi Wikipedia and has been working on projects related to digitization, culture, and language documentation, as well as language revitalization. Ladies and gentlemen, before I welcome Satdeep to take over, I would like to remind you of a few ground rules that we have. If you wish to ask a question, kindly click on the Q&A button below your screen and type your questions there. All questions will be answered after the presentation. The recordings will be uploaded to the AFLIA YouTube channel so that those who wish to go and listen to it again can do that. And then the slides will be sent to participants via email. Please, this webinar does not attract certificates, and so we will not issue certificates. We are here to learn this morning. Thank you very much for your time and everything. Sadeep, please, you are welcome. Kindly share your screen and then you can take up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doreen. Thank you so much, Dr. Nkem, as well, to invite me here to talk with all of you and to present Wikisource here. A bit more about myself. I've been a Wikimedian ever since I was in school, in high school actually, and it's been more than a decade. I've been contributing to Punjabi Wikipedia for a long time, besides English, and then I also established Wikisource in my language, which was not there before that. And I actually went to my university library at that time, went to the rare books section they had, where they didn't allow anyone to take pictures, but I still did it anyway. I took pictures of a text from 1895 in Punjabi, and I came home, and then and that was like the first text which we uploaded on Punjabi Wikisource. And then, yeah, ever since that, we've been working on Punjabi, but then I've been supporting Wikisource and other language digitization efforts around the world. Thank you so much for your detailed introduction, Doreen. I want to go more into that. So I'll share my screen now, and I'll turn off my video. So we're going to talk about Wikisource, as you all might know, the free digital library. But let's unpack that a little. What do different Wikimedia projects, what do they represent? For instance, the first logo here, it's many languages, as you can see, scripts, many different scripts, and actually even Wikipedia is separate. But as you might know, the first one is the logo for Wiktionary, which represents as dictionaries. And the second logo you're all familiar with for sure. It's Wikipedia, and it represents encyclopedias. And the third one, it's an iceberg, where we only see the tip of the iceberg, but everything that's underneath is so much bigger than it. And I think it's to represent that on Wikipedia we only see the iceberg from above the water level, and whatever underneath are those sources on which something is built. And that's what Wikisource represents, all the different sources, source texts, which become a foundation for all the other work. So it represents libraries. But then you can ask, if it's a library, so can I read anything from like Shakespeare or Pushkin to J.K. Rowling and Chinua Achebe? Well, Shakespeare and Pushkin, yes, for sure, but not Rowling and Achebe, at least not yet, because we have copyrights. We live in a world where there are copyrights, that while you're in a physical library, the institution hosts them. They can buy the physical copies and they can distribute. But in a digital world, it's we have to, especially on Wikimedia platforms, we have to respect the copyrights, and we cannot. We don't have a mechanism where we can go beyond that. Although Internet Archive is actually looking at a distribution method called controlled digital lending, which is in a way more similar to how physical libraries operate. But on Wikisource, we do have to work with works which are out of copyright. But there is also a case study that I'll share in the middle of the presentation, where I'll show you how there can be efforts and what mechanisms or like what conversations, what collaborations you can do, and still bring, still bypass the copyrights and bring those new, still copyrighted texts to Wikisource. You can still do that, and Wikipedia is obviously the most popular project we all know, but Wikisource has been growing rapidly in recent years, especially in some of the underrepresented parts of the Wikimedia movement. If you go and check out which projects have grown the most in recent years, like Hindi Wikisource grew in 2020, it grew by 500%. So much content was added to that in that 1 year itself. So it's been growing rapidly in some parts of the Wikimedia world, at least. And let's talk more about Wikisource and what it means. It gives you access to source text. You can go to Wikisource and read works. But what it also means for some of the smaller languages is that it's also the essential infrastructure. It becomes that foundation which enables them to do other amazing things, enables them to create a Wiktionary or Wikipedia or Wikicode-like projects. Why so? In some of the dominant languages, there are a lot of sources available online. Like, in English, for instance, like for English-speaking world, Wikisource might not be as valuable because they have, if they go online, they do a Google search, they can find, they can find multiple websites where they can read works, where they have sources. They have Project Gutenberg, for instance. But for many of the non-Latin and non-Cyrillic languages, Wikisource is the only transcription platform. For instance, for my language, which is Punjabi, spoken in North India and Pakistan, and also all around the world in many places. So for my language, there is no other place on the internet where I can go and download an ebook for my e-reader device. Wikisource is the only platform where I can do that. And it provides access to the text in multiple formats. And to do an analysis, do a study of how different languages are supported on the internet, Project Gutenberg, it exists mainly in 16 languages, while Wikisource exists in more than 70 languages. So you can see how big a difference it is. That Wikisource becomes, for the non-dominant languages, for the underrepresented languages, a really, really important platform. So this is what Wikisource.org looks like. It is similar to Wikipedia.org, where you see all the different Wikisources which are there. So no major surprises here. As you can see, all the dominant languages there, they obviously have a lot of works which were out of copyright, and they have the communities that can work with them. But if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see there are dozens of other languages which are currently growing and being incubated at Wikisource. And this is what gives me hope for a world where we are able to support more communities, more languages, in having their own works online, in having their own cultural content online, not just a translation of a Wikipedia article into their language. Having their own stories, having their own literature, having their own cultural content, I would just say again, that's what gives the value to Wikisource. Now I'm going to do just take you through Wikisource, what it looks like. I'm gonna go with English Wikisource for this easier to explain this way rather than any other languages that I know. So this is what the main page of English Wikisource looks like. We can see that there is a featured text similar to the PDF, and then there is all the new texts that are being added to Wikisource. You can see a tab of that. You can see how many texts there are on Wikisource at the top. In comparison, for instance, Punjabi has around 200 texts only. Wikisource in English has more than 500,000 texts. But this is how it looks like. And if we click on one of the texts or search for one of the texts, this is what will open up. You'll be able to read the text there itself, one, but you also see a download tab. And if you click on it, you're able to download it, the text, the complete text in multiple formats, whatever that suits you. And there are, if not one of these three, you can click on the statement which says looking for a different format. You can click on that and you can find all the other available formats like RTX or just the text format, whatever suits your need, you can do that. And just to reiterate, tools like this, like the download button we have, these haven't been there forever. These were built, and these were and more such development is being, more such improvements are being done to Wikisource, and this was done by a team called Community Tech Team at the Wikimedia Foundation, which takes the community wishlist survey, and based on the most popular requests as part of that survey and their capacity to then take up work to do. So this cool new feature was developed by that team. And if you scroll down a bit more underneath the main page on Wikisource, you also see that what are the people collaborating on, what works they are trying to bring on Wikisource now, because it's not that everything is going to be there by default. We have to keep working, and we have to keep bringing new works to Wikisource. And you can also see that you can go through and search and explore Wikisource and find different texts or authors by era, by genre, by their nationality. So there are different ways how you can navigate Wikisource, so as to say. So now I bring you to this thing called index pages on Wikisource. So first of all, I know I did say, and like we have it in the statement as well, Wikisource, the free digital library. But because of this work of how we bring scanned works to Wikisource and bring the text and that which is downloadable in multiple formats, how we do all this work makes it a bit different from a library. So that's why I think it's more like a library or a bookstore with an adjacent workshop or a printing press. So we are constantly working on bringing works which were published in the past. We are reworking on them, adding annotations at time, and bringing them on Wikisource. So this is how actually the work goes on Wikisource. This is one of the pages where a contributor would look at the text on the right hand side and transcribe it on the left hand side. they don't have to completely type everything. For most languages, there is optical character recognition or OCR available. And so basically that's a machine which reads what is written in an image, and it gives you the text, but it's not 100% correct. So it's more or less 99% correct. And if it's written, if it's typed text, if it's not handwritten document, it's fairly, the accuracy has fairly increased in the recent times. And why is this image necessary? Why are we doing like this? Why aren't we just typing things out on Wikisource? Just like bringing, if you find some text somewhere, just copy pasting it from there to Wikisource. Because this scanned layer, the image that we have, it ensures that you can go and verify the text from the main source. This is how it was published, that we as Wikisource contributors are not bringing our own biases into it. We are not changing anything in the text. And that
Hello, Sadip.
Yes.
Hello, Sadip.
Yes.
There are complaints about your audio. It's as if there's an echo at the back. Yeah, we are not hearing you clearly at all. Please, can you see if it's from your settings or where you are? I don't know where the problem is from, but people in Nigeria, they are complaining. The people in Ghana, they are complaining. So I know that it's not just from one place. It's not from them. It has to be from you, please.
Okay. Can you confirm if it's better now?
I can hear you better, a little. Maybe if you can speak up some more.
Yeah. I can speak up a bit more.
All right, thank you.
Is it better now?
Yes, I can hear you better. It's better now. Or maybe
okay.
You need to move closer to your device.
Yes. I can do
All
that,
right.
and I'll just speak up a bit more. Do you think I need to repeat something?
Yes, please, honestly, because I was struggling, and I'm in Zambia now. So I just know that it's like that across Africa. So please assist us. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'll do a bit of a skim. So I think I'll just start from Wikisource. I mean, from English Wikisource. Like up until this point, I have been sharing about what Wikisource, how many languages it supports, or how it's being incubated in multiple languages, smaller languages, smaller not in terms of the number of speakers, smaller, underrepresented actually in terms of their presence on the internet. And and this is the main page of English Wikisource. This is how if you're looking for anything to read on Wikisource, this is what it looks like on the main page, and where you will be going and searching for stuff. And you see there is a featured text which is similar to Wikipedia, which you can read. Like every month there is a new text, and then there are some new texts that are being that have been brought to Wikisource. And here's an example text, and you can actually download it in multiple formats. And this is a new work, like this improvement to be able to download in multiple formats. This was not there from the very beginning. This has been brought in as part of recent improvement works being done to Wikisource, and this was done by the community tech team at the foundation. So I was also sharing a little bit about how the community keeps working. There is a current collaborations tab. If you go a bit, if you scroll a bit down on the main page of English Wikisource, you see what works people are now collaborating on and trying to bring on Wikisource. And then on the right hand side, you'll also see how you can explore Wikisource based on your interests in the kind of text or the kind of authors. But the most interesting thing I would say I was sharing was that that we call Wikisource a digital library, but I think in a way it's a bit different from a library because we are constantly bringing new works by working on them, by digitizing them. So I would say it's more like a library or a bookstore with an adjacent workshop or a printing press. So here, as you can see, there is like an index page, and all the pages that are in that book are listed, and a user would go to each one of them one by one, and then they make transcription of it. And I'll share that a bit and talk a bit about that in the next tab. So this is what the work on Wikisource mainly looks like for contributors. But for regular contributors, they are looking at the text, the image on the right hand side, and they're transcribing the text on the left hand side. And they don't have to type all of it when I say transcription, because we have optical character recognition tools available in most languages. And mostly what the contributors do is look if there are any typos while that optical character recognition tool is trying to see what's in the image. So, and why is this important? It's important so that we're not just copying text from anywhere and not being sure if that's what the author actually wrote. So we have a verification there. So it's, you can say it's similar to references on Wikipedia, where you can go and verify what was actually written originally in the source. So this is having the scanned layer is similar to that. Before I move on to case studies, I would like to confirm once again if my voice is better now.
Yes, it's better.
Okay, so should I continue?
Yes, but somebody just wrote that he can't understand anything. That he can't understand what you're saying. Just talk a little bit slowly. That's all. We'll get there.
Like, does that mean like, yeah, I'm not sure if that is a comment on the volume or how I.
Yes, okay. You know, like the elephant. You can't get it all at the same time. You just get a bit of it and then you move on and then you get another part. So just continue. At least the audio is far, far better than it was before. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Yes, if it's about not understanding whatever is going on, I can just quickly recap. What Wikisource is that you take a book from, let's say from an archive, you take an old book, out of copyright book, and you scan it, or someone else scans it for you. You bring it on Wikimedia Commons as a PDF. And then on Wikisource, what the community does is make transcription of that, make a digital text out of a scanned image. That's what the work of Wikisource is. And this is what this final image was about. This is what the Wikisource contributors do, is there are multiple pages in a scanned book, and they are then typing it or like fixing the typos after using the optical character recognition or OCR technology, which is basically a computer. It looks at an image and it tries to see what the text is there. It's not completely, it's not 100% correct. So that's where the role of Wikisource contributors come in. So it's more like just chilling, reading a text, fixing some typos, and publish it. That's what a simple and edit on Wikisource is like. So now I'm going to talk about some case studies of how different institutions or different language communities are working with Wikisource. First, British Library and Bengali Wikisource, a very major institution with a very big community. So, the British Library, as part of their 2 centuries of Indian print project, they opened up access to to some of the rare Bengali texts to the Bengali community. And once they gave those texts to the Bengali community, the community organized multiple proofreading contests with the help of the British Library. So, and I'll share the presentation where there are more links where you can read more about this project and how both the British Library Institution and the community collaborated. And in this way, Wikisource is helping an institution which are holding collections to collaborate better with communities of origin. So not just holding and keeping it with themselves, they're able to share the text about whom, written by whom those texts are. While they still keep the original files, but they're able to share the digital files, which is still really useful to the communities. So a bit more about that project. One of the things that they did in one of the projects with the British Library and Bengali Wikisource is they selected 50 different rare books. In 2021, in early 2021, they brought them on to Commons, and then on Wikisource, they did a month-long proofreadathon, kind of an editathon. Similar to an editathon on Wikipedia. On Wikisource, we have proofreadathons where people then worked on bringing those texts in digital mode, basically. And then there was some rewards for top 5 contributors, and it was a big success. And they're exploring other future collaborations as well. So next up, I would like to share about Marathi Wikisource. Marathi is a language of India, similar to Bengali. And what the Marathi community did, one of the things that the Marathi community did is they collaborated with this 175-year-old library in a city called Pune. And they started digitizing works from their collection. So 400 plus books, their books from their collection have been digitized and are now uploaded on Wikimedia Commons, and they are being proofread on Wikisource by the Marathi community. But the other thing which I was talking about, the other thing that the Marathi community has been working on is they've also been partnering with multiple institutions, and they've been collaborating with authors to relicense thousands of copyrighted texts as well. So the texts are still in copyright, but they collaborated with the author and got consent from the author to relicense those texts under CC by SA licenses and bringing them on our platforms. They did similar relicensing efforts with institutions, where one institution gave 1,000 books under CC by SA. And there are similar initiatives in other languages, in other communities as well. For instance, the Tamil community, it collaborated with the government, with the state government, and the government mandated through legislation that everything that the government produces, all the books that are produced by government institutions, will be under CC by SA licenses. And all those works are now being brought on Wikisource by the community, where they'll be available. So the beauty of bringing them from image to text is that
people are able to search and find them better. They're able to copy, they're able to download it in multiple formats. And the Marathi community, they have their own challenges as well. Like they don't have a database, a structured database of all the different authors and books. So it's difficult for them to prioritize what they can work on, who should they contact. They also have a lack of expert human resources in digitization. They don't have people who know or expert in digitization. And they're still struggling to get support from government agencies. And many institutions are still reluctant from relicensing their works. These are some of the challenges for the Marathi community. The next case study is completely different. It's not about a traditional library. It is about the Balinese language. Balinese language is spoken in Bali in Indonesia, and the language has been primarily written on palm leaf manuscripts for centuries. And actually, you know, in every town, every village, there are some individuals who have some of these manuscripts as part of their family legacy. They've been keeping them safe. It's a religious thing as well, and they've been passing them on from generation to another. So there are families which take care of these, and these manuscripts are at the verge of extinction in a way. And that's when, this is way back in 2011, way back in 2011, when Internet Archive, it started scanning these texts. As you can see, this is a screenshot from the Internet Archive, and there are multiple scans there. But the problem with this is that there is no OCR in Balinese, and the scanned image itself is not useful. It's really difficult to use, and most of the modern youth in Bali, they don't even read that script. So like for them to be able to understand, the script needs to be Latin, which they are more comfortable with. So how do they navigate that? That's where Wikisource comes into play. An organization named Panelax, they built this infrastructure for them. They built this on-screen keyboard with the grant from Wikimedia Foundation. They built this, and this enabled then the Balinese community to not just transcribe, but after transcription, there is an auto transliteration into Latin as well, which helps them, which has helped them to already bring more than 2,000 manuscripts. They have been able to transcribe them on Wikisource. And now there are more efforts where they are visiting people's houses who have been preserving this manuscript for generation. They're cataloging them, they're digitizing them. And in the speaker notes, in the presentation, which will be shared with all of you, you can read a report about one of these efforts. And this is how Balinese Wikisource looks like. It's one of the newest Wikisource we have. It came out in July last year. And although unavailability of OCR still remains one of the biggest challenges for this community, currently what they're doing is they're manually typing using the on-screen keyboard. They're manually typing the entire text from the manuscript onto Wikisource. Now I'll just share a couple more things about the usefulness of Wikisource. Wikisource has been proven to be a really good onboarding platform for Wikimedia projects as well. You know, Wikipedia, for instance, can be really complicated at the beginning for newbies, because on Wikipedia there are info boxes, there are references, categories, and also people need to be familiar with digital literacy, They also need to be familiar with research literacy. All those things at once can be really overwhelming for newbies. And that's why Wikisource has been really helpful to onboard people, because all you have to do as a contributor on Wikisource is you read an image, you read a text from an image, and you type it on in the text box, or you use OCR to get the writing, to get some transcription, and you fix it. You just fix some typos. That's it. Nothing more than that as a newbie. And that's when really, some people just like it. There is no debate over that. Like, it's there on Wikisource. There are hardly any long discussions about or any heated debates about anything, because that's what is there that you would argue with someone about when they're just looking at an image and typing it correctly. So a few more things before I end the presentation, just some new ways, interesting ways in which people are using Wikisource. Here, the English Wikisource community has been experimenting and adapting Wikisource to transcribe public domain movies on Wikisource. As you can see here, they have a video on commons, and they say, oh yeah, if we can do it for a book, why can we not do it for a movie? So what they're doing is they have the time, at what time what dialogue appears. They're just transcribing all of that, and it's similar to, you can say, creating subtitles, but it's all available as a text, and you can access this in this way. So they're transcribing audio visuals, and there are also like similar efforts. So if you can do it for movies, why can you not do it for oral culture? Why can you not go and record, let's say, a folk song or a folk tale in your language and type it on Wikisource, so that it becomes not just a video document, but it also becomes a written document that you can search to, you can find, and you can share with others as well. So this text here, it's transcribed on Wikisource in this example, but it has also been added as closed caption or subtitles in the video on Commons as well. And then there are some communities who are working on creating audiobooks out of the works on Wikisource. That's also interesting. And there's some people who are using the technology of Wikisource to translate works from one language to another as well. So there are many types of different experiments. These are some of those examples that have been going on Wikisource. And now we move to the discussion. Any questions? What parts were difficult to understand? Where would you like me to do any demonstrations? I'm happy to do that.
Thank you, Deep. I was discussing with somebody in here, but on WhatsApp, and I told the person that I heard that Wikisource can be used for digitization of library materials and relicensing, but that you have to work with the authors to get the that's for those that are agreeable, and then also for transcribing folk tales and traditional oral tradition. I hope I got that right.
Yes, that is exactly what I've all talked about.
Yeah. So if it can be used for all these things, many of us are really curious. How does it happen? You've shown us some case studies, how, let's say you want to do something now on Wikisource, what do you do? There's this one you showed now of a film that is put there, and then people transcribed the words in the film, second by second, right?
Yes, yes, yes. That's
All
how
right.
it is.
So let's say I get a film now in Nigeria, and I want to do that. What are the steps? How does one go about it? Or let's say that you have some rare materials in a library and you want them digitized. How do you go about it?
Okay,
Thank you.
Sure. I can do a little demonstration on this. I'll just share my screen and I'll show you. First, I'll show you the how you can do the video transcription. There are many ways. There is no one way to do it. I think one of the easiest way, I'll just demonstrate that, which I have done for the example that I showed you in one of the for the oral culture, for the oral video transcription. Here it is. So basically, you go to Wikisource and you can do it on multilingual Wikisource. So this is the multilingual Wikisource. Any experiments you want to do, and especially in languages which don't have their own Wikisource as of now, this is the place for you to start.
Sadip, your audio is fluctuating again. It comes, then it goes. Yeah. Then and then please also speak slowly so that we don't get lost. Thank you.
Okay, let me try and change my internet.
Hello, please, let's give Sadib a few minutes to change his internet connection. We know the internet is not stable. It's not just in Africa. Other countries are also having the same challenge. So let's please give him some few minutes to change and come back and continue. All right, Sadib, you are welcome back.
Yes, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, we can hear you, but there's still a little echo behind, but we will manage.
Okay. Okay, so I was saying that I'll share my screen. I'll share my screen and I'll show you how you can work with, or like how I worked with a video in a language that I recorded, which has no presence on Wikisource before that.
Okay.
So you can go to multilingual Wikisource. This is multilingual Wikisource, and how you can go there is you go to Wikisource.org. Wikisource.org. You go there and you will come to this place. And you see there are many languages listed here and underneath. And there is a process on how to add your language. If you want to add more languages here, but you don't need to worry about that for now. I'll show you how I did with one of the languages. Once I came on Wikisource, I created this page basically. Main page, and then slash, and then the name of the language in its original language. How do you write that name in that language? And then, like any wiki, you can create and link to other pages. So I created a page for that specific folk tale. However, I would the folk song, the title of the folk song. That's it. Like I just typed this title of the folk song in search, and if let's say I change the title to something else, I searched for it, and then it will tell me how I can create the page. I think everyone knows here how to do that. And if you click on creating the page, it will load up as a as something like this, where you can then edit. And that's what I did. The video I already uploaded on Commons. I think that's not like I won't share about uploading the video, but once you have the video, all I did was I just typed all the text underneath. That's it. I just type all the text at one place, not worrying about at what time to speak when at this point. I think the main focus is having all the text from the folk song listed here. And I also did translations in English, so you can actually see that this is a translation I did, and this way how other people can also engage with this text. I can share this in the chat, but I'm not sure if chat is available for everyone. So that is how this is an example of how you can work with oral transcript, with oral culture on Wikisource. Is basically you upload a video and then you transcribe all the text, and you can just type it all here. And if you want more details, there are, I think it's a big long workshop where I can also tell you how you can work with an external tool, which makes it easier to work with video, or like to creating subtitles, for instance. That's an external tool that you can use. So that's one thing. Do I just go ahead and share about that? If you have a book, a book that you scan, and then how you bring that on Wikisource, should I just go ahead and share about that as well?
Yes, please. Because there are questions on some of these things, but if you'd like to share that one, kindly share, then I'll bring in that question.
Okay, sure. So yeah, for that, the first step is, I think the very first step starts even before Wikimedia platforms. You have to find a work which is either out of copyright, or you have or the author has free license that work into Creative Commons license. So that's the very first step. Once you have either the author has agreed or the work is out of copyright, you digitize it, you scan it, and there are many ways you can do that. If you have a professional scanner, you use that. If there is an organization that can do it for you, you take their help, or you can just use your phone as well to digitize. And once you do that, you bring it here, and I'm just searching for some text to show. So yeah, here is an example. Here is an example of a manuscript from the 18th century. It was recently digitized by just a couple of weeks ago by a school student who's been working on digitizing works on Commons. So it's currently on Commons. He took images, and I'll just show you one more image, made a PDF out of it, and then uploaded that on Wikimedia Commons. So the next step would be for someone who knows the language to identify what language it is. Let me just read and see. I think it is Sanskrit language. So all you need to do is you just remember the title, what it is. After a file is on commons, you go to the language Wikisource where you want to work with this file, where you want to transcribe the file. So if I go to Sanskrit Wikisource, and I search for this text, so you see, I copied the file name and I'm able to find this text here as well on Sanskrit Wikisource. And I'll just show it in English because the words around it will be, you can understand. So once you're here, it asks you, like you are on Wikisource. This is on English Wikisource, or I can also do it on multilingual Wikisource. You search for the file. You search for the file name. You copy the file name from commons. There are other ways to do it as well, but I think this can be an easy one. Is you go to the language Wikisource where you want to work with it, and in the search tab, you search for that file name, and you'll find it here, not on commons, on Wikisource itself. And it tells you, oh, do you want to link it to an index page? And an index page is where the work on Wikisource happens, where all the different pages of that work are listed, and then you can work on one page at a time. So let me just show you. So here I'll need to type, oh, what is the language of this text? What is the name of this text? What is the author? All the other details. If it's connected to Wikidata, there are some ways this can be done in an easier way, but we'll talk about that later. Here I'll show you what happens once you save the index page. So all the 20 pages in that text are listed. Right. So you can see this is the first page of the text, and all the 20 pages are listed here. And a contributor would go to a page one by one. For instance, the first page is not really the first page in a way. You go to the page and you click on a transcribe text. As you can see here, transcribe text. It tells you it turns scanned document into editable text using optical character recognition. Okay, something wrong happened. It was not able to access it. Maybe we use other language. And as you can see, since this is a language not supported on Wikisource, it's not able to, it's not supported by OCR. It was not able to identify the text. But there are some other OCR technologies that we can use. As you can see, there are some different buttons here. So let's see if this one works. I'm hoping it produces something useful. Okay, it produces some more or less some useful text. And now I think, yes, someone can work with it. So all that is not useful, you remove that. And then, you know, if I don't know the language, I can still read some of it, but I don't know the language. But someone who knows the language, they'll go through it one by one, and they'll compare with original. Is this correct? If there is some mistake somewhere, they'll go and fix it and write and basically write what the correct text is based on the image. Because sometimes, or most of the times, there are some there are going to be mistakes in how that computer technology perceives images. And once you do this, you can go and you can publish the page. And then you can go on to the next page. Here is the next page button. Here is the previous page button. Or if you would like to go back to the index page where all the different pages are listed, you can go back there. And this is how it looks like now. Now, you know, the red color shows that some work has started on this already. And all the other are red pages. So no one has even started them. And once you go to the next page, you can go through a similar process. And once you have actually confirmed and fixed everything, you click, instead of red, you click the yellow button, which says, okay, this text, this image has now been proofread. And that's how, you know, one by one, you can work on texts on Wikisource.
Thank you for that, Sadip. Doreen, please go on. Doreen, there are so many questions. Doreen,
Thank you
please.
very much, Sadip. There are so many questions. I'd like to start reading them for you to help us answer these questions. The first one is, what are the uses of Wikisources from Kenya? Uses of Wikisources in Kenya.
Okay, I think I have little or no context of Kenya and its literary heritage. I've showed you some different case studies, how the British Library is working with Wikisource, how Marathi community is relicensing works with Wikisource, working with authors and some of the old libraries there, and how the Balinese community, which doesn't have libraries as such, but has a different kind of model, is working with Wikisource. The question is, based on your context, you see if Wikisource can add some value.
Okay, so the next question, the other one has to do with the blocked IP address from Wikimedia. And the other question is, can one use it to digitize research papers already existing on another database apart from the internet? Yes.
Yes, the only thing we have to keep in mind is that research paper or that text, no matter what it is that out of copyright? Or are you able to get the original author to relicense that, relicense that work for Wikisource?
Okay, that is good. So in other words, before you can upload or digitize this document, it must be out of copyright, or you should ask permission from the author. If the author is still there, ask permission from the person. There's one interesting thing I saw that really caught my attention, that Wikisource is able to transcribe, even scan documents into editable document for you to edit. And it is very good for me. It is very good and very interesting for librarians in Africa as well. So how is the issue of plagiarism handled in Wikisource? That is another question. Issue of plagiarism, how is it handled on Wikisource?
I don't really understand that question. Like, what Wikisource does is it brings whatever is there written in the book in a text, and it just brings it online. If there are, if let's say the original author has plagiarized the text from something else, it's there. Like the fault is there, not at Wikisource. We are still going to keep it. I don't think this is. I haven't encountered an issue where this has become like a central point of discussion, that how do we work with plagiarism. But it's not considered plagiarism when you're bringing completely copyright-free texts or relicensed texts completely as they are onto Wikisource. That's not how we describe it as.
All right. So there's another question. The person says he was trying to create a Wikisource account. If you already have a Wikipedia account, you can go to Wikisource and then you have a central login. That's what I do. But I don't know, Sadip, is it necessary to create another Wikisource account apart from your Wikipedia account?
Yeah, no, we just have one global account.
Okay. So the person's account has been blocked. The IP address is in a range that has been blocked. And so I think that is the problem. this is a big problem we are facing in Africa. A lot of accounts are being blocked, and this is posing a bit of a challenge for us as AFLIA staff. So I don't know how Wikipedia will try and address this issue for us, because it is really affecting our people. So I didn't quite, this is from Omoro, so I didn't quite get it. How do we ensure quality control on Wikisource? How do you ensure quality control on Wikisource?
Quality of what books we bring, or quality of how we scan? I think those are two different questions, like how we proofread, how we transcribe the text. For transcribing the text, that it has good quality, there are two steps. Every page has to be transcribed by two different contributors so that they don't miss out any mistake. About the text itself, I think it's similar to the world outside. Like all the books, anyone is free to publish a book, and as it is and now more increasingly you can pay and publish a book. I think similarly you can just publish a book, and if the book is out of copyright, it's up to the community. The community decides, yeah, this book is useful enough and they want to bring it on Wikisource, for sure. Like there is no as such a notability criteria for what works to bring and what not to bring. You can work with it how you feel. I think community can develop its own mechanisms if they want to avoid some kind of texts or authors. But generally, yeah, there is no such rule about that.
All right, so in other words, if I understand correctly, Sadi, it means that notability clause doesn't really work on Wikisource. You only depend on the author, the authenticity of the document, the author, or maybe how well known the author is, the expertise of the author. Is that it?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So there's somebody is asking if you can recommend the best scanner for high quality and efficient digitization for his library.
I think I can get to that at a later point. Like I can
Okay,
share.
so maybe you can send it to Dr. Nkem and we'll get it across to him. That is Kamal Idrisu Garba.
Yeah, sure.
From Nigeria. He wants a recommendation for the best scanner for quality, efficient digitization. Please, how do I add my language to Wikisource? How do I add my language to Wikisource?
You go to Wikisource, multilingual Wikisource, which is wikisource.org, and there you just start a new page. You just start a new page called main page / the name of your language. That's how you can just start creating a new Wikisource. That's it. Then you build from it. Yes, like but once you have enough people working on it, contributing, then it follows the same method by which a new Wikipedia is started, which is a request on MetaWiki, a request for new languages.
All right, so okay, so like he has said, you can go and practice. If you make mistakes, go back to the original place and then retry again. So you just go to the main page, to the wikisource.org, the language, and then / the name of your language that you want to add. And that is it, right? Okay.
Yes.
I think he even demonstrated it when he was doing the presentation. Okay, so what if the document has images? Can that also be uploaded on Wikisource?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, if the book has some images in it, those images can be separately uploaded as just as images on Commons and embedded onto Wikisource, like you embed images in Wikipedia articles. That is done.
So, all right, so just like we first of all upload all the images on Wikicommons before we use it in our articles on Wikipedia. Is that the way it should go?
Yes.
All right, so please, that is it. How will content with text be added? Content with text be added. An example, books, example, e-books or e-journals.
Wait. Oh, okay. When it's already online. Okay, that's
Yes.
a good problem. That's a good problem to have. I think again, you have to have a conversation with the ebook writer if it's already in a text form and not a PDF. If it's a PDF already, you can follow the method I showed, but it's not a PDF. If it's just text, you can actually just copy paste the text and create a new page here on Wikisource. How you create a new page on Wikipedia, just as simple as that. But it's just better if there is a like a PDF, and if you go through this way, it's just easier and better that way, because the website, for instance, it can the original website from where you copy the content, it can make some changes and you won't know, and you know, and also like the website can go down and you won't have the source available anymore. It's just better if you can, if you have a scanned file or like a document like a PDF that you work with.
All right, thank you. So there's another question. Are there reviewers or administrators who review the edits carried out? What happens to many pages that are not transcribed?
Okay, so there are administration, yes, and like there are people, they do review edits by other people, and I think that's, I think, one question. And if someone is just transcribing them incorrectly, not just saying that, oh, I have proofread this, but they've not done it, so then they can basically warn them of not doing correct editing on Wikisource. It's fairly uncommon. And what happens to pages that are not transcribed? I think we just community organizes events. They organize proofreadathons to encourage people. Okay, these are some books in which we had 100 pages which are transcribed and 50 are missing on these books, and let's work on them. And whoever works the most, they'll be given some reward or something. So community do keep on organizing such activities. But yeah, the work will never finish in a way. New books keep coming, new books keep getting out of copyright. So yeah, it's a continual process.
Okay, so I think the last question is, when a book is uploaded on Wikisource, can one use the book as a citation on Wikipedia article?
Yes, you can do that.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, similar to how you use other online sources, you can use Wikisource as a citation. There are examples of people doing that. So yeah, you can definitely do it. Although there should be better tools to support this. There aren't those available yet, but hopefully in the coming years we will have them.
All right. Thank you so much, Sadi. Please, if you have any question again, you can reach Aflia, and we will be sure to reach Sadi for you for detailed explanation. Dr. Nkem, Stanley and Michael, do you have anything to say, contribution, comments, or anything you want to add?
Nothing much, but I want to say thank you to Sadip. And beyond that too, AFLIA will have to organize a practical step-by-step practice of maybe doing each of these things that he mentioned we can do on Wikisource. And not that I'm Oliver Twist, but we hope that when we set it up, when we want to run it, that you help us so that we can go one step by step, because this today is just like an introduction. You know, we now know if this can be done, the other one can be done, but we will still need to do the practical things slowly so that we can get used to it.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, definitely. As the session was called, this is just an introduction to Wikisource, and I'll be more than happy to work with you on this. Once you identify some text, or let's say some images, or a mix of all of those, and then we can do another practical session where, where we actually work with them and demonstrate how it actually is going to work for the different languages or texts.
All right.
All right, thank you. Yeah, go on, Doreen. Sorry.
Whilst we wait for that, if you don't have an account on Wikipedia yet, try and create an account. On all the Wikipedia projects, they just Wikimedia projects with one account, you can access all the other projects. So get an account on either Wikipedia, Wikisource, Wikicommons, Wiki, whatever, and you can use that account on all the Wikipedia projects. And let's try our hands on it. Let's explore. Let's make the mistakes and correct them. The only problem is the blocking of IP accounts. But let's do well to stay in a safe zone. I'm sure Sadip will one day help us to address this issue of blocking of our accounts, because it is a big problem and it is a challenge, even for us in AFLIA during our programs or our workshops and trainings. We've been experiencing this and people have been reporting. Thank you so much, Sadip, for coming. You have really opened our eyes to another large room, let's say a large warehouse of information, warehouse of resources that we can use as librarians in our libraries. This is good, and for us, it is a step in the right direction. Today is the International Literacy Day, and so it is not out of order that we talked about Wikisource. Thank you so much. I am Doreen Appiah. The recordings will be uploaded onto our AFLIA YouTube channel, and the slides will also be sent to all participants who are here.
Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. If we don't have any other question, we would like to draw down our curtains here. Thank you. We'll see you once again very soon. Thank you. So,
Doreen, so I think you can end the meeting since you have the control.
what you doing? What did Michael say? Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sadip. It's been a good time. Thank you. We've learned a lot today. Thank you so much.